I never thought I'd have a gun pointed at my face again, especially not standing in my own front yard, still sweaty from a morning run, staring down the barrel held by some wannabe HOA cop with a shiny fake badge and a hero complex who couldn't handle the fact that his so-called master key didn't work on my door. He figured I was just another quiet homeowner, a soft target. What he didn't know, and what this entire neighborhood would find out soon enough, was that after 20 years as a Navy SEAL, I'm the last guy you want to push past his limit. But let me back up a sec, because honestly, the whole thing started out so normal, it almost feels like a bad joke. When I moved into Ridge Pine Estates, I was chasing peace and quiet. You know the dream: manicured lawns, neighbors who wave but don't pry, the sound of crickets at night, not sirens or helicopters. My name's Daniel Blake, and I'd spent most of my adult life living off adrenaline and sandstorms, jumping out of planes into places where nobody ever mowed a lawn or watered petunias. I came here to stop looking over my shoulder. I wanted weekends grilling steaks, not MREs, and the biggest threat on my radar was supposed to be the occasional raccoon in the trash can. I'm the type who keeps to himself. Mow every Saturday at 10 sharp, keep the hedges trimmed, smile and nod, pay my dues, mind my own business. But old habits die hard, and some part of me never stopped watching, never stopped measuring every little shift in the wind. That's probably why when Arthur Artie McConnell rolled into my life, something deep down started to itch. Artie was the self-appointed community safety director, late 50s belly, leading the way, khakis so tight I swear you could read his pulse through them, and always rolling around in a golf cart, rigged up like an off-brand SWAT vehicle, sirens chrome the works. Picture Paul Blart with less charm and more paperwork. He took Ridge Pine security way too seriously, patrolling like we were living in the green zone. At first it was laughable. I found a printed warning zip-tied to my door. My recycling bin was at a 93-degree angle, not 90, and apparently that was a crime against humanity. I rotated the bin, gave Artie a little salute next time I saw him, figured he'd get bored. But with bullies, acknowledgement is just fuel. The next week I caught him parked at the curb, binoculars in hand, watching my house like I was smuggling plutonium. I could practically hear his printer warming up to spit out another violation. Carl, my neighbor across the street, a retired engineer who knows how to mind his own business, leaned over the fence one afternoon and murmured, "Watch out for Artie. Guy claims he's got a master key to every house for emergencies." That set off every internal alarm I had left over from Afghanistan. I went into full lockdown mode, high security deadbolts, reinforced strike plates, cloud cameras, the works. Didn't advertise it, just quietly turned my house into a safe zone. Digging through the HOA bylaws, I found nothing. No clause, no right of entry, just a bunch of lawyers speak about community standards. Artie wasn't even officially on the payroll, just a bored retiree with too much time and too little oversight. But the board, oh, they ate it up. Either they were scared of him or just too lazy to care. One day, Mrs. Garvey, sweetest old lady you'll ever meet, 78, owns a Yorkie with more bark than brains, told me Artie threatened to impound her dog for excessive noise. There's no such rule in the book, but she was terrified. That's how it works. He preyed on people too nice, too tired, or too busy to fight back. Then, because I replaced a broken sprinkler head without architectural approval, Artie zeroed in. Suddenly, I was getting cited for every dandelion, every stray newspaper, every trash can left out an extra hour. Each violation, I logged time date photo, my rebuttal pulled straight from their own rules. I could feel the tension winding up. He wanted a showdown. I just didn't realize how far he'd push it. Whoa. Tuesday morning, sun barely up. I'm making coffee and stretching out my back when I see Artie's golf cart barreling down the street like he's late for the apocalypse. Riding shotgun is some young guy, HOA logo on his polo, eyes glued to his shoes. Artie storms up, pounds on my door, says there's an anonymous tip about a water leak he needs to inspect inside immediately. I knew right then this was it, his play. He figured I'd cave, maybe he'd get a peek at whatever he thought I was hiding. I stood my ground, told him, "Not a chance, bring proof, bring a warrant. You're not coming in." Artie's face twisted up like he bit into a lemon, turned to his lackey, barked at him to unlock it. The kid fumbled out a ring of keys, dozens of them jangling like chains in a dungeon, tried them all one by one. Not a single one fit my lock. I let the silence stretch, arms folded until Artie snapped. He shoved the kid aside, snatched the keys, jammed them into my door, growing more frantic with every failed attempt. And then out of nowhere, he went for his belt, not for his clipboard, but a pistol, real steel, not some airsoft toy. He raised it, hands shaking, voice barely steady. "Open the door now," he shouted. And just like that, everything slowed down, sights, sounds, my heart pounding like it used to overseas. I dropped my voice cold and steady. "That's a felony, Artie. Put it down." But he didn't. He screamed about authority and official business. So I moved fast. Stepped in, swept his hand aside, twisted his wrist, the gun tumbled. I hooked his ankle, dropped him to the porch, pinned him with my knee, cleared the weapon chamber, loaded safety off, ready to go. I called 911. "Yes, police, Ridgepine Estates, armed trespasser detained, weapon secured." I never raised my voice. The kid was pale as a ghost, just nodded when the cops rolled up, cuffed Artie right there on my steps while he babbled about HOA rights and emergency entry. Turns out the gun was his registered, sure, but the carry permit had expired a year ago. Those master keys fakes. Copied by a buddy of his who used to be a locksmith, no record, no oversight. The board had no clue, or at least pretended not to. My lawyer Rachel nearly danced when I told her, "We're pressing charges and we're coming after the HOA too." She wasn't kidding. In court, Artie tried to play the hero, said he was just doing his duty. The jury watched the body cam, saw him pull that gun, heard him scream, and it was over. Aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. 5 years probation, stripped of his gun rights, and the HOA had to settle fast. They paid out, funded a total overhaul. New policies, every single volunteer enforcer stripped of their badge and keys. The golf cart, Artie's rolling throne, was auctioned off, money donated to a local youth safety group. The best part, neighbors who'd been too scared to speak up started coming out of the woodwork, telling their own Artie horror stories. For the first time, people in Ridgepine actually talked, actually listened. We held a meeting, voted in a real board, folks, who believe in working with the community, not bullying it. Me. I finally got what I came for, not just peace and quiet, but the kind of calm that comes from knowing your home is yours and nobody's ever going to kick your door down over some fake emergency. I earned it inch by inch, standing up every time a petty man tried to swing his little bit of power. And Artie, he vanished. Never saw him again. His empire of fear gone overnight, his authority just a memory. Sometimes when the crickets are out and all I hear is the breeze, I think about how some people only understand power when it's turned back on them, and how sometimes the only way to reclaim your peace is to take a stand that echoes for everyone who's ever been pushed around. So now every time I walk past that porch, I remember this is my home. I fought for it. Maybe that's what it takes. But hey, you tell me, was I right to fight back? Or was I just another stubborn neighbor who couldn't play by the rules? Drop your take below, because in neighborhoods like this, sometimes the lines between justice and overreach get blurrier than anyone wants to admit.